I don't know who's going to end up listening this, or if anyone will even make it to the end. But I guess I just need to put it all down while I still remember what's mine and what belongs to them. My name is Matt. I live in the US, out in the middle of nowhere in one of those cliché states where it's nothing but corn, farms, and roads that just keep going until the sky eats them. I've got a wife, Sarah, and two daughters, Emma and Haley. Emma is 6, Haley is 4, or they were. I'm not even sure how to say it anymore. The farm was our dream. I'm not kidding. I worked from home as a designer. Sarah was burned out from hospital shifts, and we were both done with the noise and neighbors screaming through paper-thin apartment walls at 3 in the morning. We watched all those videos of people moving out to the country, getting chickens and dogs and gardens, laughing in front of sunsets. And one day the listing basically found us. Small farm, house, barn, cornfield. Great price. The price really was too good to be true. Sarah even joked. Someone probably died there, and they're dumping it cheap. I seriously wish we hadn't just laughed and gone to see it. The house was perfect for us. White siding, a front porch, creaky steps that warm would smell when you walk in. 2 kids' bedrooms upstairs, a big kitchen for Sarah, a small office I was already mentally filling with my junk, and the field, maybe 60 feet from the window. Back then the corn was low, just starting to rise, but even then it felt like a living wall, neat and straight, running all the way to the horizon. The realtor, balding guy in a shirt with the agency logo, walked us around and talked loudly about irrigation, new windows, updated wiring. Honestly, I half-tuned him out. Emma and Haley were already tearing around the yard, and I could hear their laughter somewhere between the bushes. The soil's good here, the realtor was saying. Previous owner grew corn, some soybeans. Right now the fields are on a lease. Local farmer works them, you just get paid for the land. It's easy money. Why's he selling? Sarah asked. The realtor hesitated a little longer than you'd expect from someone about to say something basic, and finally went with age. He moved to the city to live with his son. Hard for older folks to keep up with all this. At the time it sounded normal. In America, half the listings are either they got old or they died. We signed everything within a month and moved in June. It was hot, but not killer. As we pulled in, Emma plastered herself against the window. Dad, look, a field, a real field. Haley squealed just because her big sister squealed. Kids catch happiness fast. Too bad it works the other way just as easily. From day one, they were drawn to the corn like the field was calling them by name. We warned them. Don't go too deep, just the edge rows where we can see you. You can get lost out there. Emma nodded, already not listening. Bare feet, skinny arms, white t-shirt flashing between the green stalks, and a second later she was almost gone. Emma, just the edge rows, I yelled. She poked her head out, gave me a thumbs up, and disappeared again. That first evening they came back to dinner sweaty and breathless, with corn leaves in their hair and dust and scratches on their knees. They were babbling about secret paths, houses between the rows, and caves made of stalks where nobody but them could fit. We found a tunnel, Emma said very seriously. It's just for the 4 of us. The 4 of us, Sarah repeated. Yeah, Emma looked at me like I was slow. Me, Haley, and the other 2. What other 2? I smiled, waiting for the imaginary friend's explanation. Every kid has that phase. She suddenly looked embarrassed, like she'd said something she wasn't supposed to. Shrugged. Sorry, I promised I wouldn't tell them. Sarah cut in, that's not funny. There's no other kids out there, okay? There could be holes, old wells, whatever. You stay near the edge. Promise. Emma sighed, rolled her eyes, 6 going on 16. Fine, I promise. Haley echoed her, P-wamais, stumbling over the word. That night, they asked to sleep in our bed for the first time. Ooh, big girls are scared of the new house, I teased. Emma wrinkled her nose. The hallway creaks, and in the corner someone stands there. Sarah shot me a look. I gestured like, new place, stress, give them time. We let them. They climbed into bed, one on each side, and that's when I saw the smile for the first time. Not the happy I got ice cream smile, not the shy one. Emma lay there staring at the ceiling with this slow, controlled smile. Just the corners of her mouth pulling up, no teeth, and there was something very adult in it, something cold. Em, I whispered, you okay? She turned her head, looked at me like she just remembered I existed, and the smile vanished. Yeah, Dad, I love you. She closed her eyes and was breathing evenly a minute later. I told myself it was just my imagination. The first weird changes were small. Emma had always loved cartoons, drawing, being dramatic. Haley was more clingy, quieter, always stuck to Sarah. A week into farm life, both of them went too quiet. Not no noise quiet, more like there was a filter between them and us. I'd ask how their day was. They'd say, fine. No running to tell me stories, no interrupting each other to add details. They'd sit at the table, chew carefully, stare at some fixed point. Are you not having fun? Sarah asked. You don't like the house? We like it, Mommy, they said together. Sarah froze with her fork halfway up. Don't do that in unison, please. It's weird. They glanced at each other and gave the exact same tiny smile. Just for a second, that was it. I wrote it off as the move, the heat, the adjustment. Everybody told Sarah it's the age, they're just adapting. The dog definitely did not agree. A couple days later, I brought home a sheltered dog. Young, black and white mutt, happy, tongue lolling. I always wanted the kids to have a dog to run around with. We named him Rocky. He took to the yard instantly, tail wagging, sniffing everything. Right up until the girls came out. He saw them, went rigid, tail stopped. His ears pinned back. He glanced toward the cornfield and gave this low whine. Come on, Sarah coaxed. This is Emma and Haley, your people. He never went up to them. Not that day, not the next. He'd sleep by our bedroom door, but if the girls were running nearby, he'd circle wide around them like there was an invisible fence. That was the first little crack under my feet, but it didn't really split open until later. It was one evening in late July. The corn had shot up to my height, thick and dense. I was on the porch with a beer, watching the sun go down over the field. Total postcard. Just slap some inspirational quote on it and sell it to stressed out office workers. The girls had gone to play house between the rows. We said they could, as long as they stayed where we could see them. Then they were gone. Emma, Haley, time to come in. No answer. I tried not to panic. The field was right there. It wasn't like they'd vanished off the planet. But the longer the silence stretched, the colder my stomach felt. Emma, I shouted now, throat tight. Sarah came out, took one look at my face and went pale. "Girls," she screamed. And that's when I heard the laughter. Kid laughter, high and bright but wrong. Like it had been recorded and played through a busted speaker. It came from deep in the field. I ran. Corn stalks whipped my face, leaves scratched bare skin. It was dim between the rows, damp earth smell thick in my nose. I shouted their names until my throat tasted like metal. I found them. They were standing on a small trampled patch, side by side holding hands. Face to face, way too close, forehead to forehead, eyes closed. Their lips were moving like they were whispering to each other. "Emma, Haley," my voice cracked. They both froze. It was like somebody yanked a string on a pair of dolls. At the exact same time, they opened their eyes and turned toward me. And at the exact same time, they smiled. That smile again. Slow, deliberate. "Dad," Emma said, "we were playing." "What were you playing?" I asked, shaking. "Trade," Haley said, and immediately clapped her hands over her mouth like she'd slipped. "Haley," Emma said sharply, "you promised." "Sorry," Haley whispered. I stepped forward, grabbed a hand of each, and dragged them back toward the house. I was so scared there wasn't even room left for anger. The ground felt sticky under my boots, like it was trying to hold on. Sarah was waiting for us at the edge of the field, almost crying. "Where were you? How many times do we have to call you?" "Over there," Emma nodded toward the dark rows we just come from. "It was fun." "Did you hear us?" Sarah grabbed her shoulders. "We were yelling your names. Why didn't you answer?" "We couldn't," Emma said. "They didn't let us." "Who, they?" The knot in my gut twisted tighter. Emma looked at me with this long, unreadable stare and then just glitched. Stopped blinking. For 3, 4, 5 seconds she was totally still, face like a porcelain mask. Then she blinked and chirped, suddenly light and cheerful. "Nobody, I was just kidding." That night they crawled into our bed again. Didn't even ask this time. Just padded in, climbed up, and made themselves comfortable. Sarah was exhausted and only sighed. "Okay, last time, girls." Emma curled up on my side, Haley between us. I felt the warmth of their small bodies, heard their breathing. Everything seemed normal, but I couldn't get past the way Emma was staring at the ceiling again. That same smile. Lips pulled just enough. In the half-dark, her teeth looked darker than they should, like dirt was stuck to them. I was almost asleep when I realized her hand was still on my chest, too heavy for a 6-year-old's. Her fingers moved just a little, sliding over my t-shirt like they were feeling the shape, memorizing it. I opened my eyes. She lay there with her eyes closed, but the smile hadn't faded. Carefully, I moved her hand off me. She didn't resist, but I felt this wave of cold, like I'd opened a window in mid-January. After that, I started noticing things you only notice when something feels deeply wrong. How often they blink, how they tilt their heads at the same angle, how they stopped asking why, even though they used to barrage us with questions. One evening, when Sarah was on shift, I decided to record them singing their new field songs so I could send it to her. I put my phone on the kitchen windowsill, hit record, and went out to the porch. They were playing somewhere between the barn and the first rows of corn. I could hear their voices but not make out the words. The melody was this weird, slow, looping thing, like a lullaby that had never belonged to people. I sat there and listened, not wanting to scare them out of it. When they came back in, I stopped the recording and sent it to Sarah with a text. listen to their new little songs. She didn't respond until late that night. When she did get home, her face was white. "Matt," she said, "those aren't our girls." Everything inside me dropped. "What are you talking about?" She pulled up the clip. I expected to hear humming kids' voices. Instead, it was just silence. Not even background noise. No birds, no wind, no nothing. Like the phone had been recording a vacuum. And then halfway through, a voice came in. Not a kid's voice. Not really an adult's either. Hard to explain. It was either too close to the mic or not coming from the mic at all. A whisper with too many shades of gray in it. "Why are you watching?" the voice asked. "Who's watching?" More silence. A minute, two. Near the end, the same voice, softer. "Yours are here. You can't take them back." I don't remember anyone going near the phone. The girls were outside. I saw them. Nobody was standing by the window. We listened to that recording over and over. Checked the phone. Tried to figure out if it was some glitch, some accidental overlay. But the more we listened, the more it felt like it wasn't just sound. Like something was talking not to our kids but to the house itself. After that, Sarah insisted we see a psychiatrist. Not because we were crazy, but because maybe there was something in the air, some mold, something messing with us. Every article online loves to talk about toxic mold affecting cognition. The doctor in town wore a sweater and used words like adjustment and stress response. He asked how the girls behaved, if they were aggressive, if they had nightmares. They weren't aggressive, and they didn't have nightmares. They slept easy, too easy. He said the move was a huge stressor, especially for kids, and that they might withdraw. He suggested backing off, spending more time together as a family. A summer on a farm, fresh air, routine. That's just what they need. We left feeling like we'd spoken to a chatbot in a human suit. That same evening, I noticed the way Emma was watching me at dinner. Not just looking, studying. Like she needed to memorize exactly where every muscle in my face moved when I smiled or frowned. "Em," I said, "you okay?" She blinked, gave me her normal bright kid smile. "Yeah, Dad, I just like looking at you." Haley nodded and added, "We have to remember everything, so we don't mix it up later." "Mix what up?" I asked carefully. They gave each other that too knowing look again, and both shrugged at the same time. I clung to rationality like a life raft. We started locking the windows at night, not opening the door after 9. I went and bought cheap indoor cameras and set them up in the hallway, living room, front porch. Not to spy on the girls, but to, I don't know, have some kind of proof of what was going on while we slept. First night, nothing. The girls got up once to use the bathroom, went back to their room. Second night, same thing. Third night, I got the footage that killed the "it's just stress" theory for good. At 2:41 a.m., the hallway cam picked up movement. You can see the dark, the rectangle of moonlight from the upstairs window, the shadow of the banister. Then Emma's door opens. She slips out, bare feet on the floor, unicorn pajamas. She doesn't walk like a kid. There's none of that loose, bouncy clumsiness. Her back is straight, her steps even, head tilted slightly down like an adult walking through a familiar house in the dark. She walks right up to our bedroom door, stops. Without opening it, she leans her head toward the gap between the door and frame, and just stands there. A minute, two. In the video, you can see the square of moonlight slowly sliding on the floor as the night moves, and she doesn't move at all. Then she slowly raises her hand. Instead of knocking, she just lays her palm flat on the door. Her fingers are spread in this odd, strained way, like she's feeling something underneath the wood. She stands like that for another minute, then turns and goes back to her room. I hadn't heard a thing. Neither had Sarah. We slept straight through it. They never came into our bed that night, at least not physically. I showed Sarah the video the next morning. Her lips went so tight they turned colorless. "It's sleepwalking," she said. "Kids do that sometimes." "Do you actually believe that?" I asked. She didn't answer. We tried to keep them out of the field. We stayed on the porch with them, played board games, watched movies. But the corn was a magnet. Any time we got the least bit distracted, their eyes drifted that way, like someone was slowly crooking a finger from between the stalks. "Can we just go look?" Emma would ask. "We won't go far." "No," Sarah told her. "We said no field for now." In those moments, Emma's face would shift just for a heartbeat. Not a tantrum, not a pout. A flash of adult contempt. Pure, deep, and so out of place it made my skin crawl. "You wouldn't understand," she tossed over her shoulder, storming off to her room. That same evening, I found a drawing on the kitchen table. Printer paper, crayons. A house, ours, porch, barn, the tree, the field, a big green wave. In front of the house, 4 stick figures, mom, dad, 2 kids. In the field between the corn rows, 4 more. Same size, same shapes. Only their faces were scribbled over in black. I brought the drawing to Emma. "Did you make this?" "Yeah," she said calmly. "And who are these?" I pointed at the black-faced ones. She held my gaze for a long moment, then gave me her usual kid smile, but her eyes stayed flat. "That's us when we go over there," she said. "Over where?" "To the ones who were here first." My chest tightened. "Who was here first? Where?" "In your place," she said. "In Mom's, in ours." Then she suddenly screamed. "You won't believe me anyway," and bolted, the paper fluttering to the floor. Haley ran over, picked up the drawing, carefully folded it in half, and hid it behind her back, staring up at me from under her lashes. I know how all of this sounds. If I read this from someone else, I'd think the guy needed meds. The worst part was, the world outside kept acting normal. Blue sky, tractors in the distance, classic rock on the radio. Only inside our house was that constant charge in the air, like static before a storm that never breaks. Sarah and I started whispering whenever the girls were around. We talked about leaving, but the mortgage, the down payment, the fact that no one we knew had money to lend to the house in the city was already sold. There wasn't really anywhere to run to. That was the first time I really understood what despair feels like. Standing in the middle of your own home and knowing it isn't yours. Everything finally snapped on one of those suffocating August nights, where the air feels sticky all by itself. The day had been quiet. We put on a movie the girls watched listlessly. After, they asked to go play in the yard. For some reason, we said yes. Maybe we were tired of always saying no. Maybe we just wanted to pretend we were a normal family for 5 minutes. Half an hour later, Sarah went to call them in. A minute after that, her scream tore through the house. "MATT." I flew out onto the porch. Her face was whiter than the siding. "They're gone," she stammered. I was watching them. They were just by the barn. I looked away for a second and they're just gone. The field was a solid wall. No rustling, no little heads. I ran. I was screaming their names before I even hit the first row. Leaves slapped my face, scratched my arms. Sarah was behind me, sobbing, shouting, voice raw. Somewhere deep inside the corn, something answered. At first, I thought it was just the plants rubbing together, but there was no wind. A shuffle. Then that high kid laugh again, coming from more than one direction at once. "Gemma, Haley, out now," I bellowed. They stepped out from around the next corner. Two small figures, blue dresses, their favorites, hair messy, faces streaked with dirt. Emma and Haley. They looked normal. Tired, dirty, shook up. Emma was crying. Haley clamped onto her hands so hard her knuckles were white. "Dad," Emma barreled into me, slamming into my chest. "Daddy, it was dark. We were scared." I scooped them both up, crushing them against me. Somewhere behind me, Sarah let out this broken sob and wrapped herself around all three of us. "Where were you?" I whispered into their hair. "Where were you girls?" "Down there," Haley hiccuped. "Under the roots. They said we had to lie there until you forgot us." "Who did?" Emma lifted her face. Real fear was in her eyes, pure and simple. "The others," she said. "What others, Em?" "The ones just like us," she whispered. "But it's crowded down there. They need more room." Sarah slapped a hand over her mouth to keep from screaming. That's it. We're going inside right now," she gasped. We walked back through the rows. I had Emma's hand, Sarah had Haley's. Honestly, I was almost relaxing. I was this close to convincing myself these were our girls, that it was just some terrifying game with invisible friends. Almost. We stepped out of the corn and into the open, and I saw the house, the barn, the truck, the porch. And standing on that porch were two kids. Two little silhouettes, same blue dresses, same hair. They were standing hand in hand, just watching us. It was maybe 3 seconds while my brain tried to reconcile what my eyes were telling it. I was in the field, clutching two warm, shaking kids. I could feel their sweaty palms. I could hear them sniffling. And at the same time, there were two more on my porch. Sarah saw them too. Her grip on Haley's shoulder tightened so hard the kid yelped. "Matt," she breathed, "do you?" The figures on the porch raised their hands and waved. Wide, jerky, almost cartoonish waves. Then they smiled. At that distance, I couldn't see their teeth, but I knew that smile. It was already carved into my brain. I blinked. They were gone. Empty porch. Just the curtain in the window swaying a little. "Did you see that?" Sarah whispered. I wanted to say no. I wanted so badly to say it was a trick of the light. But I stood there in the rows, holding two kids who were shaking from fear, and remembered how we'd laughed about probably someone died there when we got the house. I saw," I said. We never talked about it again. Not because we didn't want to, because we didn't have words for it. That night, the girls didn't ask to sleep with us. They crashed in their own beds as soon as we'd washed them and tucked them in. Sarah sat between their beds, stroking their hair back and forth, while I made a slow loop through the house, checking every lock, every window, every camera. Rocky was under the stairs with his nose between his paws. When I came by, he whimpered softly. I crouched beside him and scratched behind his ears. "You feel it too, huh?" I asked him. He licked my hand, but his eyes, the whites showing just a little, were fixed toward the field. I don't know what time it was when I finally crashed into bed. Sarah came in later, closed the door behind her. We lay there in the dark listening to every little house noise. "We have to leave," she whispered. "Screw the money, screw the loans, screw everything." I didn't answer. In my head I was screaming, yes, right now. We wake them up and get in the truck and just go. But there was something else too, that sticky awareness that the house was listening, that saying it out loud would flip some switch. "Let's talk in the morning," I said, as quietly as I could. Sarah shifted toward me. In the darkness, I could just see her outline. "What if there isn't a morning?" she asked. I almost snapped at her, told her not to talk like that. I probably should have, but my tongue just stuck to the roof of my mouth. No words came out. We fell asleep, if you can call it that. It felt more like getting switched off. No dreams, no drifting, just nothing. I woke up because I couldn't move. At first I thought I just slept funny and my arm went numb, but nothing moved. Not my fingers, not my toes, not my head. My eyes were open. I was staring at the ceiling and I knew I was lying flat on my back, pinned to the mattress by nothing at all. From the hallway came a soft sound. Tiny, careful footsteps, bare feet on wood. The door eased open. A yellow strip of light from the nightlight in the hall sliced into the room. Then I saw them. Emma and Haley, in their pajamas, hair loose around their shoulders, faces clean, not a speck of dirt, and those smiles. They came in and shut the door behind them. Sarah was lying on her side facing me. Her eyes were open. I could see her pupils widen as she realized she couldn't move either. The girls walked up to the bed, stood there looking down at us. "Can we sleep with you again tonight?" Emma asked. It was her voice, the voice I'd heard 1,000 times. But there was an extra tone in it, a shadow that didn't belong to any child. I tried to yell no, tried to say anything. Nothing came out. My chest was moving just enough to keep me conscious. Haley climbed up first, careful like she'd done 1,000 times. She crawled across the blanket and wedged herself between us, laid her head on Sarah's shoulder. Sarah's body twitched a little at the weight, but that was it, no control. "I missed you, Mommy," Haley whispered. "It's cold down there." Emma climbed up on my side. She sat on the edge of the bed and set her palm on my chest, same as that first night. In the dark, her eyes shone, black and deep and bottomless. "You're a good dad," she said. "You lasted a long time." I wanted to ask, "Who are you?" But my jaw wouldn't open. I could only hear my own ragged breathing in my ears. "They saw us on the porch," Haley said, not really to us, more like reporting. "But they decided to pretend they didn't." "It's easier for people not to believe," Emma replied in that same flat tone. "That's why they're useful." She leaned in so close I could feel her breath on my face. It didn't smell like milk or cookies anymore. It smelled like damp dirt. "You kept asking, 'Who are they?'" she whispered. "The answer was right in front of you. We're them, they're us. There just weren't enough spaces." Tears started leaking out of the corners of my eyes on their own. I couldn't even blink them away. "Where are my girls?" I somehow forced out. Don't ask me how. The words came out shredded and weak, but they came out. Emma's smile stretched wider. In the dark, her teeth looked longer than they should have. "Where it was dark," she said. "Under the roots, same as everyone before them, same as everyone after." Haley snuggled deeper against Sarah, wrapping her arms around her. "But they're not alone," Haley added. "There's lots of them, so many. It almost doesn't hurt once you get used to it." "We're going to fall asleep with you," Emma said. "Every night, until you're like them. Then you'll go down to where they are. And she dragged her finger along my cheek, scooping up a tear and bringing it to her lips, "we'll move on." She lay down beside me, tucking her hand under her head, facing me. The smile was still there. "We need lots of houses, Dad. Lots of beds, lots of nights. You're happy you helped us, aren't you?" I wanted to scream no, to howl it, but whatever had let me speak a second ago left. My body went slack and heavy. My eyelids slid shut like someone pushed another button. The last thing I saw were their faces inches from mine. Two masks smiling so hard the skin around their mouths looked like it was cracking. And in the deepest part of their pupils, something moving, tangling, like roots in wet black soil. I don't know how much time has passed since that night. Days blur together. Sometimes I wake up in the daytime and I can move, talk, walk around. Sarah can too. The girls act normal. They draw, watch cartoons, run around the house. We don't go into the field anymore. They don't ask to. They don't need it now. Sometimes I hear them whispering by the window. They stand there looking at the corn and speak in that rustling sound. Not English. Not any language I've ever heard. It's like listening to wind through dry leaves, only there's a rhythm to it and repeated words. Sometimes I walk up behind them and they turn and beam at me with their regular kid smiles. "Dad, what's for dinner? Can we have ice cream?" All the safe, normal lines. For a second it almost works. For a second I want to believe the nightmare's over. Then 3 a.m. rolls around again. And they come back into our bed. They slide in on either side, pin us in place like child-sized seatbelts, stare into our eyes until the world narrows and goes dark. The fear of death is gone now. What's left is this dense, suffocating despair that doesn't even bother trying to fight. A couple times I've tried to leave during the day. Just grab the keys, get Sarah and the kids into the truck and drive. Each time something stops us. The truck won't start, even though it ran fine yesterday. The keys aren't where we left them. Or Emma walks up, sets her hand on my shoulder and says, "Don't go, Dad, the field loves you." And when she says it, way out back the whole sea of corn sways at once, even if the breeze is going the other way. I don't know who lived here before us. I don't know how many families this place has chewed through. Sometimes when I stand at the back door and look out at the field, I swear I see other kids between the rows. Kids in old-fashioned dresses, in faded t-shirts from different decades. They hold hands and stare at the house, waiting for their turn to play trade again. I'm writing this at the kitchen table in the middle of the night while Sarah and the girls are upstairs. Rocky, been dead a while. We found him in the barn with his nose buried in the dirt like he tried to dig himself a grave from the inside. The wind's chasing dry leaves around the yard. The corn is whispering. I'm not turning on the light. I'm afraid of seeing little faces in the window glass. I know they'll come down again tonight, slide under the covers, grin those two wide grins until the switch flips and I'm gone. And one of these times, maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, I won't wake up free the next day. I'll wake up under the roots, in the dark, in the rustle of small, dirty hands all around me. If you live next to a field and your kids love playing out there, please, don't just think it's cute. Don't think, This is so healthy, fresh air nature. When your kid stares out at the corn for too long and smiles like an adult, bring them inside. Because sometimes the ones who climb into your bed at night and sweetly whisper, "Daddy, can we fall asleep with you?" aren't your kids anymore. And your real ones are out there, under the roots, staring up at the house and waiting for someone, anyone, to hear them besides the field. And besides the ones who have already learned how to fall asleep, while smiling that mean little smile before they close their eyes.